President Robert Mugabe is expected to meet Zimbabwe's army generals today. This comes after thousands of Zimbabweans took to the streets to demand his resignation. Whilst there has been no word from the veteran leader, today his party's Central Committee will discuss his fate.
10 provincial structures of the ruling party have already passed a resolution that President Robert Mugabe must go, and it might be difficult for the Politburo to take a different view. In the streets of Harare, people had this to say.
As Zimbabwean, the basic thing we want is the access to basic commodities, the basic access to food, the basic access to education, the basic access to transport, but we cannot have that. That's what Zimbabweans are calling for. We're not calling for luxuries. We're just basically calling for the basic access to commodities.
So today we had a march from the State House to Freedom Square and from the Freedom Square back to the State House. We want him to go. He has been intimidating us for so long, and we just want him to go so that we can build a better Zimbabwe for our future, for our children and for everybody else who's Zimbabwean.
As Zimbabweans, we want a basic life, just to be able to use our schooling, have education, shelter, food, and I appreciate this. I thank the ZDF for coming up and helping us to stand out as Zimbabweans.
Going forward, we're not expecting a government which is not one-person centered, but a government which is people-centered, a government which is authentic, a government which is credible. I think in terms of following the Constitution, in terms of securing the future of tomorrow, not necessarily building one man's world, but building the world for all, for everybody. A government that works professionally, understanding that it's serving its people. It's not necessarily serving the interests of a person.
Meanwhile, it is also expected that Grace Mugabe will be asked to step down from her position as the president of the party's Women's League. The current political crisis is believed to stem from fears that Grace Mugabe has her eyes set on the presidency. Sophie Mukweni, SABC News, Harare, Zimbabwe.